From gardening to animals to extreme renovations, welcome to Homesteading at College Hill Farm. Welcome back to College Hill Farm. Today we're talking about chiggers. Well, it's starting summer. We've had our first 90-degree day here in central Kentucky. Young men's dreams turn to love, and old men's dream turn to chiggers. So you got to watch out when you're on my little homestead, because there's about nothing worse than a chigger. Let's talk about what chiggers are before I go on and talk about anything else. What is a chigger? Well, a chigger is something called a berry bug. A berry bug, Trombocyllidae, I think is the scientific name. A berry bug doesn't bother you. Okay, when they're grown, adult bugs, even nymphs, don't bother you. The life cycle is a grown berry bug that lays an egg, and then that egg hatches, and the egg becomes a larva, and the larva finds tall grass. They lay the eggs on the ground, and the larva finds tall grass and climbs up the stem of that grass as high as it can get. The reason it's called berry bugs is people get chiggers most often when they're in the berry patch. Well, it's blackberry picking time now. It's July the 3rd today, so that means it's blackberry picking time. Well, we picked raspberries and we didn't have to worry about chiggers, because chiggers come out when those temperatures get up about 90 degrees. They like it hot and humid. Well, central Kentucky's full of hot and humid. But back to the life cycle, they lay their eggs on the ground, then they turn into a larva. And that larva, maggot if you want to think of it that way, climbs up a post, climbs up, and it's not really like a maggot. The reason being, you can think of a maggot. A maggot is an insect larva, a fly larva, but a larva for a harvester mite has legs. Harvester mites are called harvester mites when they are larvae. They're berry bugs, and then they're called harvester mites when they're larvae. They have eggs, or legs rather, like a spider, 8 of them. So they're arachnids. They're in that group. So they climb up then they feed, they drop off, and they become adult, and that's it. And then they mate and lay eggs again. So they climb up on any tall grass, around berry bushes is a real good place, because when you're picking blackberries, a lot of times you're just wading right in to the mass of briars, and so they climb up on that stuff and they wait for a dog or a cat or a rabbit or a raccoon or any kind of the wildlife that's on your property, and they get on them, and they don't suck blood. Everybody thinks that they're like mosquitoes and they suck blood. Well, they don't suck blood. Spiders don't suck blood. A spider injects you with this stuff, and it makes you soft and mushy, and then it sucks that wonderful juice out of there. If I can find a picture that's not copyrighted, I'll be certain to put a picture of what the mite looks like. And put a picture of what an adult berry bug looks like. You're not going to see them. They're somewhere in the neighborhood of 1/200th of an inch long. I definitely, with my eyesight and my bifocals, probably would never be able to see one. I've got a microscope upstairs. If I could catch one, I would put a web camera on my microscope and let you see it, but it really doesn't matter. You're not going to see them, so you can't prepare for them, okay? You just can't. But you can sure take some precautions to keep from getting them. Now, a lot of people think that they attach to them and they stay forever, and if you put fingernail polish over them, it suffocates them. And the truth is, by the time you've got a welt, they've probably eaten and gone. They have mouth parts, a lot like a tick. They're in that kind of thing, ticks and mites, and they have a mouth part that's kind of a sharp, pointy beak, and they inject that into your skin, sometimes around a hair follicle, sometimes right wherever they're at. They grab on to a skin cell and they inject it with this stuff, and it kills the skin cells, but it numbs you at the same time, and they might feed 3 or 4 or 5, 6 hours. That's why when you go in the berry patch and you picked for, I don't know, 2 or 3 hours, and then you come home and you're putting your berries up and all that stuff, you don't have no problems, and then the next morning you wake up and you're covered with little red welts. Well, by that time, they fed and gone. They inject your cells and it turns it into liquid and it eats it, and it makes a tunnel down into the dermis, the epidermis, and that's what an allergic reaction that almost everybody has to them is what causes that intense itching. So I'll show you what I do to prevent them, and then we'll talk about what to do once you get them, because all preventions don't work. One thing I do want to say though before we go on, Hollywood's crazy. Okay, they'll show you pictures of people rolling around in a hayfield. If you've done that in central Kentucky, you wouldn't like it. Kids here don't roll in the hay. I'm just telling you, they don't do that. They don't roll in the hay out in the field because chiggers are a thing. All right, I'm going to show you what to do to prevent them. Preventing chiggers is not an easy task. You can't see them. You never know where they're going to be. They might be in grass that's this tall, or they might be in grass that's that tall, or they might be just in your berry patch. You never know where they're going to show up, because what happens is the chigger attaches, the larva attaches, eats, falls off, becomes an adult, lays eggs, starts over again. Well, what do they eat? They eat animals, okay? So that means that this raccoon that had chiggers on him walked through, he had the chiggers, they got on him, they ate, he walked through some grass and that chigger just dropped off. And right there is where the next set of eggs are going to come from, thousands of them. So you never know where they're going to pop up. They might be one place this year and another place next year, but they're almost always in my blackberry patch. So if I want to do anything out in the field, first off, I don't wear these, and I don't wear shorts. I see all these homesteaders, and I know that they don't have chiggers in their area, and the reason I know is because they wear their rubber boots and shorts. You do that around here, you'll wish you hadn't. So I wear rubber boots and I tuck them in. Then my shirt tail has to be tucked in. I wear long sleeves. I don't wear t-shirts. You'll notice that in my videos. College Hill Farm has chiggers. So I wear long sleeve shirts. Now, I'm not advertising for any insect repellent. But if your insect repellent that you use, this is Cutter Backwoods. I use Sportsman's Off and Deep Woods Off and a couple of others. If it doesn't say it repels chiggers, then you're wasting your time spraying it. This one says repels mosquitoes, ticks, biting flies, gnats, no-see-ums, chiggers, and fleas. So it repels them all. That's what you need. Now, you put your boots in, put your boots on, and as you put your boots on, I spray all the way around the top of the boot and where my pants are tucked in. I tuck my pants in the boot. Some people go as far as putting their socks over the outside of their pants. Well, I don't do that. I just tuck them down in these boots. And then where the two meet, I spray around with this spray, making sure to get plenty on the top of that rubber boot and a little bit on my pants. Then I spray everywhere there's an opening to my clothes. That means I spray around my wrists, around my neck. I don't actually spray around my neck. I put it on my hand and rub it around my neck. Around my hat. I even spray my hat because chiggers in your head's a thing too. You know, Crystal fell a couple of years ago in the blackberry field, and Lord, she was covered up with them. But anyway, and then I tuck my shirt in, and I spray along the button up and all around the waist, making sure to get some on my pants and some on my shirt, because once you've had chiggers, you don't ever want them again. Okay, it's time to get to the ritual. Starting in July, that's the ritual every morning at College Hill Farm. It doesn't matter if it's raining, if it's not raining. That's how you prevent chiggers. Now, let's talk about what you do once you get them. You've diligently done this every morning. But chiggers are relentless. Eventually, over the summer, I always get some chigger bites, whether it's 2 or 3 or 10 or 20. I always get some. So how is it, what do you do for them? Because the itch is maddening. Okay, the itch of the chigger bite is just unbelievable. Until you've had them, you just don't understand. You don't ever want them again. That's the deal. You don't ever want them again. But what do you do for them? Well, for me, what I found works best for me is I take and go in after working out where I think I might have been exposed to chiggers. When I'm done doing what I was doing, I go in and I take a shower and shower off around my legs and arms and wherever I think that there might have been chigger. I shower everywhere. But there's some days that you just can't do that. You're going to work all day. You're going to work in the shop, or you're going to, okay? So some days you can't do that. So eventually you're probably going to get a chigger on you somewhere. So what do I do once I've got a bite? Well, generally, the itches will drive you crazy. But what I found works best for me is I can take any menthol salve, whether it's Vicks Vapo Rub or Bengay or the dollar store brand of mentholated cream, doesn't matter. You go take as hot a shower as you can stand, washing the bites with a super hot water. Don't scald yourself, but it's got to be hot. Once you get it the itching calm down, if you'll put that menthol salve on there, that will calm it for several hours. And if it starts doing that again, just go back and spray off those places with really hot water, and then put some more menthol salve on. After 4 or 5 days, it'll stop itching. But it's 4 or 5 days of intense itch. So that's the way we prevent and treat chiggers here at College Hill Farm. College Hill Farm's full of them. They could be anywhere on the property, anytime. If you like this sort of stuff, this homesteading, do-it-yourself kind of lifestyle stuff, be certain to come on out to the channel and subscribe. If you hit this little icon right here, it'll take you to our channel. Once you're at the channel, you can subscribe. You'll find that if you hit the little bell, it will notify you when we upload videos. We upload videos every week, sometimes 1, sometimes 5. We upload every Sunday. So now, with that being said, it's time for me to get on to the next thing.